welcome back to our Let's Chat session right here on K24. We are talking about back to school preparedness today and getting your thoughts on how you truly feel about our children going back to school. It's only day 3, but it feels like a lifetime for some, given, of course, what we are going through as a country and even right down to all the households you can think of. How well prepared are we right at home to even just send our children out and be comfortable about that? We've got the right panel in place, and that's because they are both on the capacity, or they are all here on the capacities of educationists as well as parents. Believe it or not, Joel Gitali, who is our educationist here, has immense experience from the public sector, or at least public institutions. Actually has 2 children in Form 4 right now as we speak. Catherine Karira, youth and teen mom mentor, is also here with us, also giving us her experience as far as how her children have received this news of going back to school. And Mushoki, educationist and parent, mother of 5, with one of her children being in Form 4. And so when we get back to this conversation about public, private schools, I want to start off with you, Anne, in terms of the difference in organization and structure that you are seeing, from your children, because you've got some in, or rather 2 at least, I believe, in public and the others in private. Anyway, you tell us.
I have the unfortunate privilege of parenting the entire education system.
Yeah.
This is CBC 844 all the way to university.
Yeah.
So my 3 younger are in a proper public school. And my 2 older are in private school. Especially the Form 4 one is in a school that, in my opinion, should be running the Ministry of Education, to be honest.
Yeah.
The online classes have been very effective, have been very organized. As a teacher, as a parent, I get weekly reports. They're doing clubs that are actually working. I had to attend that to see. They're doing PE to some extent because they're boys, so the teacher actually runs like a gym.
Yeah.
And then there is the 3 who are in public school, who I'm sure by now are illiterate, because they have not basically learned in 7 months. And as a mother who is a teacher, I am quite incapable, honestly, of teaching them online. I know people out there are thinking, oh, teachers must have it easy. No, we don't. We're just mothers who are no one subject like me, history, and have to teach math, and we are struggling, all of us. And to be honest, in my house, I've seen the inequality firsthand between children who go to private school and children who go to public school. And as a mother, I am saying it is a glaring inequality. And it galls me as a teacher, to be honest.
Right.
That one of my children is doing so well. It's actually might actually be ready for KCSE as you speak. And 3 of them, especially one in class 2, is tottering on the edge of illiteracy now. And this is the reality for a lot of parents in Kenya. And I think the government has failed us, to be honest.
Joel, your experience as well, just listening to even what Anne is dealing with right in her home. For you, what is the scenario now that you've got 2 who are actually preparing for examinations? Wow.
Yeah, I've seen them also reluctant to go back to school. In fact, they went yesterday instead of Monday. And they looked very disgusted with the whole thing. But all the same, they had to go. But then there are some who are still in villages. And even those who arrive in their various schools, you look at them and you see that they are not happy. They are not happy with everything. And it's not because they really don't want to be in school, but the idea here is, working on somebody's psychology. Once somebody has now prepared to be at home until January, then suddenly the fellow is to go to school. Then they feel cheated. They feel that this is unfair. Because everyone has plans. They might not even... them. So when you interfere with their programs, then they really feel bad.
Right.
But I wish I could also talk a bit about what she said. Many a time when we talk about private schools, we think about the good schools. Private schools are in categories. The best schools are private. The worst schools are private. When you go to some of these slum areas, and what you find private schools, which are actually catering for the community there, and they are just at their level. So they are not all the time those good schools that
yes, we see the glitz, the glam, yes.
You say private school and somebody's mind is looking at those with the good buses, swimming pools, and no.
Yeah.
We have some that are catering for the very poor.
Yes, and still they are private.
Yeah.
But you see, here's the thing, Catherine, also. Have we looked into the psychosocial support for our children to just get them back into that learning mode? You know, what should we be doing to just get their minds right as they approach this new phase in life?
Let me pick it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
The teachers gave us our children when our children were whole.
Yeah.
When they came home, they were excited. They thought they were coming for a midterm.
Yeah.
But now the midterm prolonged and we did not know how long it's going to be.
Right.
And idleness taught them how to do trouble.
Right.
Now we are trying to tell them, no, from where you are down, come up. We have not been prepared to prepare them, and also as we are not prepared. As Joel has said, because the CS said January, we all thought there, but now we cannot fix blames, because fixing blame will not help us. What we need to know is remind these children they have an appointment with their destiny. And the sooner they get there to school, the better for themselves, and even more so for us.
Yeah.
Because Shiko, I'm imagining, the 30,000 girls that are pregnant, those pregnancies came when they were at home with us.
Yeah.
So we are imagining, even with the scare of corona, if we can do what we have been told by the CS of health to do, put the mask, clean the hands, do the social distancing, can they be safer in school than at home? Then now we come and say, so how we are going to prepare them psychologically to go back to school. Even the parents themselves, they are not prepared.
Yeah.
So, and what we need to know is that we have to realize the risk of the future is at hand. Because children are our future. And we are the hope for the future. So the mother and the father and the teachers, we must now assume we know how to wade in the darkness. Because if the leaders don't know how to wade in the darkness, how will the small ones know? Sir is telling us his children went yesterday instead of Monday.
Yeah.
But what we need to do now is you have to tell the children from today. And I thank God because you're speaking here when others have not gone to school. So we tell them school is coming. Every day sing to them that school is coming. Yes, we thought it's January, but it can come even tomorrow.
Okay. Let's take a look at your feedback. On that note, of course, as we ask you your thoughts about how prepared we are to go back to school. It's day 3. Your thoughts so far, and of course, please tell us, because we're asking, where are the children's voices in all of this? What do they also have to say? What are they telling you as their parents? And what do you think are the biggest concerns, by the way, about them going back to school? Let's see your feedback very quickly that's coming through WhatsApp. And please call us as well. Would love to hear your voice. What do you have to say concerning today's discussion? Nick from Voi, it's not of the best idea to send children right now, as the disease is still there and more hurting our pockets are empty. Children have grown. We are like starting from scratch. Some of us in hospitality lost jobs from March. No one cares, and we really feel the world is at standstill. So sick. Okay, we've got another one here that says, hi, Shibo, or rather Shiro, or Shiko, okay. I'm Aggie from Nairobi. My daughter reported back to school 2 days ago, and she told me that the previous 3 streams of classes have been doubled to be 6 due to social distancing. My question to the government is, where are the other children going to fit in since there are no extra classrooms built yet? 2, where are other children from private schools going to enroll, and our children safe? Wow.
Yes, that's good.
Very, very good questions. Thank you so much for that, Aggie. I'm Collins Gitali. You've got a namesake here, Bona Joel. The children's safety should come first. Gambling with the children's lives is the worst move made by the government. There is clearly lack of preparedness shown by the government. All right, do we have another text message we can sample? All right, someone just simply says children are just not happy.
No, they're not happy.
Wow, okay. It's true that there is inequality in our education system, but look at it from the child's perspective. Regardless of the privilege some kids have, others are very capable of navigating through school life. They make do with what they have. Okay. And yet again, going back to even what majority of at least the text messages that we've sampled of the people who've messaged have said, there is no confidence in our government in handling this particular situation. At the same time, we're back to what Magoha actually said. Even in this particular article, he said that that majority of parents were concerned about their children wasting the whole year at home, adding that the government has responded by structuring a program to recoup the lost time. Your take on even some of the feedback that we received?
At first, we did want them to go back to school, to be honest. Yeah. And a part of me wonders how much of that was the realization of how much work children are. Yeah. Especially, I think the best thing that came out of this was how important parents are in the scheme of life. Teachers are in the scheme of our lives. Yeah. And I think I've been smelling here watching those comments because everyone is talking about the safety of our children. Here's the real truth. The COVID mortality rate for children is almost actually negligible. The reason why I'm so worried about my children going to school is because these little people are actually germ carriers. They are super spreaders. Yeah. So my concern is actually for the teachers, to be honest, than so much the children. I know it sounds like it's wrong. The teachers are adults. Yeah. And you're meeting these little super spreaders every day, all the time. And no one is talking about teacher safety. Right? Yeah. So the concern is that the children will spread COVID to us. Right. And especially now the teachers have, in my opinion, gone to the highest level of people in danger. There's a reason why children are not allowed into hospitals. Yeah. Yes. It's the same scenario. So who's worrying about our teachers? Right. We're not having the teacher conversation. And this is how we live in Kenya. Teachers are not considered important enough to protect. You're just implementers. Right. And now I'm speaking as an education, not as a parent. Yeah. That is my greatest concern. Who's protecting our teachers? All right.
And you know, I value that because what you're actually reminding us is that you're almost, or at least even right behind or at the same level as healthcare workers, you're now at the front line of it all. Yes. And you know, here's the thing, Bwana Joel, when you take a look at other essential programs in schools, we probably haven't really thought about that. The biggest concern for a lot of parents is fees, or, you know, how are we going to get uniform and books and all those things. But when you talk about programs like, we kind of mentioned this earlier on, feeding programs that are required. In Madam Karira's case, what's happening with reproductive health centers and, you know, counseling in these schools? Because if we're seeing teenage pregnancies spiking, obviously that needs to be addressed, you know?
Yeah, the situation calls for that. Reproductive health must be taken very seriously currently in schools. It's wrong just to tell schools to allow girls who are expectant to be in school without providing them with the necessary services so far. We must have, apart from the usual concerns about sanitary towels and all that must be made available to the girls now, and which people are not now focusing on, we must also have ready services for those who might have complications because of pregnancies. Some have got post-abortion kind of conditions. Right. We have others who are mothers, they are traumatized. Yeah. A lot of mental problems.
So that's also another thing, in fact, mental health of our children.
Those are things to be put into consideration. They talk about a school having a sanatorium, having a health facility and a trained nurse. But you see, as they say that they are not providing for this, they don't provide what is required for a health facility in a school. Yeah. They are not paying the nurses according to how they should be paid. If we are talking of a trained nurse, this is somebody who is supposed to be paid like others elsewhere. Right. So the government must walk the talk. Yeah. We talk about something and we see it being done.
So it all looks good on paper, but the implementation is a totally different story altogether.
Totally.
And you know, know, the thing is, in your particular case, Madam Catherine, how do you go about supporting a teen mom, especially someone who is in their exam season, going forward and looking at exams at the same time you've just become a mom?
You know, exam also has its stress. So it can trigger labor immediately.
Yeah. Right.
As Joel has said, we might not have the facility and the capacity, but now this is an emergency.
Yeah.
We must be able to create an emergency situation in the school, because the girl has two stresses. I'm pregnant, I'm a preteen, and I have an exam that is waiting for me, and I'm pregnant and I'm a teenager. But again now, there's life for this girl who is the mother, because she's a destiny. And we have to save this life. Yeah. So the school must come up with a almost free French maternate ward, where they have to tell this girl, in case it happens, come and retreat. And Joel is telling us we're exposed. What we need to do is now call the county government and tell them, county government, you need to know these 30,000 children, they're in which area. Then they're in which school. We'll do a drill down to that level. Then we can know what to do. Also, we see now the exam has stress. They could deliver just a day before the exam. Wow. What happens? So we must also create a nursing place, where I would call the crying room for the babies, so that the girl can sit for the exams. Shiko, I thought the other day, and I said, could be one of the girls that is pregnant, supposed to be the first Chief Justice female in Kenya. So we must make sure everything that has to be done for this girl to go back to the system and excel. Because actually pregnancy is not the end of the world.
It's not.
But we can bring three things to the girl so that she can reach her destiny. Number one, we must give them a lot of hope. And as a Christian, I know hope does not disappoint. Number two, we must give them a lot of grace. Grace will help us tolerate each other, accommodate each other, forgive each other. Then the teacher, the parents, and the society, we must be very patient with them. These girls have gone through issues. Somebody told me, and it's a teacher who told me, Catherine, you campaign so much for teenager mothers and pregnant teens, and rape cases is 0.001%. I'm saying even that one, we cannot afford to lose anybody's destiny.
Absolutely.
So we must be able to take a cushion and bring the life of the pregnant girl to end, and the baby that is coming also to end. As a politician, I would want to imagine, Shiko, those 30,000 children are 30,000 votes. So I would want to hear the politician's voice greater than mine.
That's true. Actually, they should be doing more work on the ground. But Anne, you know, when you look at teachers' welfare, you've highlighted, you know, something in regards to who's looking out or who's speaking up for teachers, and nobody's really thinking about what teachers are going through. And you know, let's put aside what we always see SecGen Socion actually saying, but do you, in your opinion, actually blame teachers for saying, okay, we know the children are going back to school, but why do I need to go back into teaching? For what? We've seen teachers change careers. The other day, actually not even just yesterday, we saw on the news a teacher who is now a caretaker because the school he was working in has now become an apartment complex, so to speak. And now he has moved from being a teacher, he accepted the job as caretaker. Now he's collecting rent. Why would any teacher want to go back to work with the hell that, you know, is just right before them?
I don't think it's so much why would any teacher want to go back to work. The question is, why would any teacher want to be a teacher in Kenya? I think, like I said before, the best thing that has come out of Corona is the world as a whole has realized how important teachers are. And the hell we go through with your little, like, let's use the common term that's used, with your little Jaden. And there's a part of us as teachers who have been watching and laughing, going like, yep, you deal with that. Teaching is a very thankless job, especially in Kenya, but it's a noble calling and it's necessary. And that's why we keep having teachers, right? But I honestly think we need to have teacher advocacy in this country, and it's not through Socion, because I won't go there. We need honestly to recognize how important teachers are and our expanded role as parents. And this is a pet peeve for me. Your children are not our children. For God's sake, I have 5, I can't take yours. And there's this understanding that, oh, they're teenage pregnancies. What are teachers doing? There's a lot of drugs. What are teachers doing? We didn't ask you to have these children. I don't know how they became our responsibility. While we take all the responsibility and you give us none of the care.
Yeah.
Mental health is a problem among teachers worldwide. That needs to be said.
Yeah.
This is a scary time for teachers, a very scary time. Doctors and teachers level moja infection-wise as of this week. We are not getting PPEs. We are supposed to buy our own masks, sanitize your children, have them home happy. Are teachers being tested in school? Question.
Yeah.
Are there testing units? Are there isolation units in school? Should we find that a child is in boarding in Kisumu, their home is in Mombasa? Do we have an isolation unit?
Yeah.
I can't say this enough. We cannot run the education system without teachers. Clearly, you saw that as parents.
Right.
Fight for us, protect us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a teacher in me.
It's true. It's true. And yes, this is a call for parents, you know, for even the learners to start appreciating what their teachers do for them. Because like she has said, COVID has really taught us a lot.
It has.
Including even your own patience as a parent. But here we get back to the safety versus learning debate. Catherine, you have actually said that you are advocating for children to go back to school because they have a meeting with their destiny.
They have an appointment.
But the idea, from what Margot had told us earlier on, was to reopen when the curve rather flattens. I'm looking at the headline of the People Daily today, the PD, why Kenya is staring at a COVID second wave. When you see a headline like this, and let me just put that up in case you haven't seen what's on the PD, when you see that as, of course, a headline, would you send your kid back to school, Catherine?
Well, we need them home and safe.
Yeah.
But also now, as they come home and safe, our children must know we are not stuck at home, they are safe at home.
Yeah.
Because that is what has made them go out to the streets, made them go out, as we had somewhere where there were found 30 of them with sex and condom. Because the children are thinking they are stuck at home.
Yeah.
As even we stare at that glare of second COVID coming, and our children may come back home again. All what children need to know is that I'm safe at home, I'm not stuck at home. Security comes first. And here we are talking about life.
Yeah.
And Shiko, I have realized our children tell me, I am bored. Let me tell all of them that boredom does not kill anybody. But what you do when you're bored can kill you. So the children, if in case you come back home, you must stay safe at home. Because actually, Shiko, even now when they're at home, they were more out there than at home. And I kept asking myself, what is this that is chasing them out? And as I said, we must be very creative as parents.
Right.
We must be able to organize our children before they disorganize themselves. A child's brain does not mature until 24 years.
Yes.
So we must know we are dealing with children, regardless whether they are 24 or they are 0. Mother, you must take your position. Dad, you must take your position. Because again, we are saying this infection, we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's a viral disease. We cannot see it. And we can only be safe when we take safety precautions.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. We have about 5 more minutes to go. Let's talk a little bit about this CBC, that we are seeing a curriculum-based system. And, you know, understanding from a teacher's experience, you know, the success rate and the adoption in schools today, Joel.
Yeah, it's actually a good idea. When you look at it on paper, it's a good thing. But Kenya was not very ready for it. That's why you had even the former cabinet secretary talk about it, and she was removed from the ministry immediately for saying the truth. And that's why I also sympathize with the Professor Magoha, even when we blame him, because he is just careful doing what everybody's doing, because he can't just talk his mind. Otherwise, he will leave the ministry also very quickly.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. The teachers were not prepared. For example, you see now when we talk about the secondary juniors that will be there in this system, the ones that are currently in standard 4, they will be in secondary, in high schools together with those ones that are in standard 6 of the old system at the same time.
And you feel bad because before COVID and the confusion that COVID has brought, there was still confusion about the competency-based curriculum. And now when you see what's happening, it makes the situation worse.
So it's something that is really disturbing because the teachers were not really prepared for it. And then the teachers are forced to handle 2 systems at a go. And the way you prepare for the systems is different. And we have some areas where we don't have even the capacity to do these things that we are talking about. And ask some of these parents, they will tell you that the work that their children are normally given at school is done by parents.
It's for them. So I hear a lot about that. That's true.
So you see, the objective is not being achieved at all. Because it's the parent going through the system, not the learner. And then they are given the marks and they are told this one has done well, can go on. So at the end of it, what kind of people are we going to have? It's bad. And now we are talking about back to school. How do you feel when you have a standard 7 pupil in your house and a standard 6 and then a standard 4? So the standard 4 child wakes up to go to school. The other 2 are are at home sleeping. You know, that is another source of resistance.
It actually creates a brand new dynamic in the house.
So there is a lot of confusion now that must be attended to.
Let's take a look at our feedback very quickly before we get your final remarks on our discussion today. Someone tells me that by then it seems like your tongue has gone to sleep. Yes, CBC. That's a tough one for me. Hello, I'm Joshua chatting from Kilifi County. I'm also a student in Form 3. The issue of us getting back to school has really confused my mind personally. The government has to be straightforward with the school reopening issue. As for me, I'm not ready to get back to school this year. My mind was already fixed to next year reopening. Okay, the government has been too fast to get into the order of reopening of schools, but the reality is the schools are not prepared. Too much work is required for the parents to be sure and satisfied with the safety of learners. Muturi from Kiambu, Asante Sana. And then someone else says, I feel safe, my girls are at school. They are prone to risks when they are at home because honestly, we have lost many students during this COVID period. It's true, this idleness was too much. Their health comes first. They have an appointment with their destiny. I think at this point, we need to prepare the other kids at home to be ready anytime and the parents to be ready too financially. All right, and last but not least, we've got one here that says, hi, I'm a teacher, Stephen, in Tana River County. On issue concerning social distance in class is simply just not working. And, you know, when we actually talk about what Sekjen Sosion mentioned the other day, you know, on national TV, he said, look, you will never be prepared. And go. Because we're about to wrap this up. And he says, how long do you want to be prepared? People say, I was waiting for January to be prepared. But will you honestly ever be 100% prepared? And go ahead.
I don't think we'll ever be 100% mentally prepared for our children going back to school during COVID. But at some point, I did mention to someone, we'd have to go the Magufuli way of kama mbaya mbaya. Because as an education system, we're in trouble even before COVID. We were not ready for any pandemic. In fact, in my opinion, our education system was a pandemic in itself. So mentally prepared, probably never until we have a vaccine. Financially prepared, yes. It's one thing to tell us your children will be back in school in January and to tell us your children will be back in school next week. Our children have eaten a lot during COVID. No school fees, fine, but they don't have school uniform because apparently being at home is good for their physical growth. None of my children, their uniform fits right now. You're talking about four children who wear uniform. In the midst of a financial crisis. So you tell me next week, well, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
It's not so much a matter of preparedness, it's give us enough time.
Okay, okay. All right, well, Anne, thank you so much for that. Catherine, because now we are out of time, let me say thank you so much for making time for us. And we need to do something and love our teenage mothers.
Yes.
Okay, Bona Joel, asante sana as well for being with us today.
Welcome.
Yes, your points have been well taken in. All right, Joel Gitali there, educationist, and of course sharing his experience, you know, with his raising his children who are also in Form 4. What's life like for them going back to school? Catherine Karira here, always championing for teenage mothers. She is a youth and teen mom mentor, as well as Anne Mushoki, who you heard from, an educationist and a parent of 5, a mommy of 5. Yes, she definitely has something to say about everything that's going on. We sure hope that this conversation was enlightening, and if you feel that you would wish to contribute and continue to engage us, please do so on our social media platforms. I also invite you to follow me on my platforms at Shiko Kaitani, and let's talk a little bit more on how you can also get some of the contacts of the individuals or the panelists that you find right here on our social hours. Okay, so with that being said, I am Shiko Kaitani, and on behalf of the Breakfast Club, thank you so much for watching. The Daily Brief is up next. I can see Shiro is ready to take it away. Have a beautiful day up ahead.